Right now, billions of people are living in ignorance, whilst right before their very eyes, they watch the physical world being manipulated into violence, war, and chaos. Many rulers of the world are members of secret societies who summon demons and devils from the lower planes of the spirit world. The rituals of cults such as the Golden Dawn, World International Freemasonry, and the Knights Templar all originated with the teachings of the Kabbalah. Live in a democratic dictatorship. It is a dictatorship run by people who perform rituals. It is a dictatorship run by people who privately summon demons. That sounds difficult to believe, but it is the truth. Political elite have giant libraries, such as the Beinecke Archive of Rare Books at Yale University, which teach them how to summon forth and command the negative forces of the universe.
The Skull and Bones Secret Society was officially founded at Yale University in 1832, but finds its roots in Freemasonry, and takes its symbology from the Pirates and Brotherhood of Death. Like the Masons, bonesmen choose their own initiates, and the only way to enter the Brotherhood is to be tapped by an existing member. Only 15 members are accepted each year, which is absolutely amazing, considering the number of important historical figures who just happen to be Skull and Bonesmen. For instance, U.S. Presidents William H. Taft, George Herbert Walker Bush, and George Walker Bush were all three members of Skull and Bones. The following U.S. Senators, Prescott Bush, John Kerry, David Boren, Jonathan Bingham, John Chafee, John Sherman Cooper, James Buckley, Chauncey Depew, Frank Bosworth Brandegee, Robert A. Taft, William Maxwell Evarts, and John Hines were all Skull and Bonesmen. Governors Averell Harriman, William Bissell, William Henry Gleason, Simeon Eben Baldwin, and David Boren were Bonesmen, and so were Congressmen Frank Bosworth Brandegee, Howard M. Baldrige, and Jonathan Brewster Bingham. Supreme Court Justices Morrison Waite, Potter Stewart, William Taft, Simeon Eben Baldwin, and Edward Baldwin Whitney were all Bones brothers. Also Pierre J., the first chairman of the New York Federal Reserve, and George L. Harrison, president of the New York Federal Reserve, were both Bonesmen. Fritz Springmeier wrote, "Investigations revealed that the main purpose of the Skull and Bones is to get as many members as possible into strategically placed positions of power." Robbins stated that President Bush has tapped 5 Bonesmen to join his administration, One of them is current Securities and Exchange Commissioner William Donaldson, class of 1953. Donaldson will answer no questions about the bones. Right down the line, almost every bonesman has proven unbelievably successful in his chosen profession. William Maxwell Evarts, class of 1837, became U.S. Secretary of State, Attorney General, and a senator. Russell Davenport, class of 1923, was editor of Fortune magazine and created the Fortune 500 list. Amory Ho Bradford, class of 1934, married Carol Warburg Rothschild and was general manager for the New York Times. Richard Gow, class of 1955, was president of George Bush's Zapata Oil Company. Winston Lord, class of 1959, was chairman of the CFR, ambassador to China, and Clinton's Assistant Secretary of State. Founder of the National Review and host of TV show Firing Line, William F. Buckley was a bonesman, and so was Henry Luce, the founder of Time Magazine, Life, Fortune, House and Home, and Sports Illustrated. Percy Rockefeller was a prominent businessman, founder and vice president of Oak Corporation, and sat on the board of directors for over a dozen large corporations. Alphonso Taft was a U.S. Attorney General, Secretary of War, and ambassador to Russia and Austria. His son William Taft was President of the United States and Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. As Ron Rosenbaum said in a CBS interview, "I think Skull and Bones has had slightly more success than the Mafia in the sense that the leaders of the 5 families are all doing 100 years in jail, and the leaders of the Skull and Bones families are doing 4 and 8 years in the White House." Many bonesmen have graduated with CIA and intelligence community jobs waiting for them too. F. Truby Davison, Howard Weaver, William Sloane Coffin Jr., V. Van Dyne, James Buckley, Bill Buckley, Hugh Cunningham, Hugh Wilson, Reuben Holden, Charles R. Walker, Robert D. French, Archibald MacLeish, Dino Pianzio, William and McGeorge Bundy, Richard Moore, and George Bush are all bonesmen with U.S. intelligence agency jobs. As Yale professor of history Gaddis Smith said, "Yale has influenced the Central Intelligence Agency more than any other university, giving the CIA the atmosphere of a class reunion." The Skull and Bones building at the Yale campus is called the Tomb. The imagery and decor inside the tomb is of death and darkness. Crypts, tombs, skulls, bones, blood, knives, swords, armor, etc. Inside the tomb, the Skull and Bones brothers annually perform their infamous, strange, and sexually promiscuous initiations. Ear-piercing screams are often heard from outside, and many say the tomb radiates negativity that they feel physically. In April 2001, ABC News and the New York Observer filmed bonesmen enacting mock throat-cutting rituals. In the most rumored ritual, it is said each new initiate must lay down naked, blindfolded in a casket, and masturbate while other brothers stand in a circle watching. One particularly notable bonesman was George Bush Sr.'s grandfather, the banker and businessman George Herbert Walker, who was director of W.A. Harriman and Company, Harriman 15, American International Corporation, Georgian Manganese Corporation, Barnsdall Corporation, American Ship and Commerce Corporation, Union Banking Corporation, G.H. Walker and Company, Missouri Pacific Railroad, New Orleans, Texas, and Mexican railroads. He was also a golf enthusiast and president of the USGA United States Golf Association. The biennial Walker Cup is named after him. He had 3 sons who all graduated Yale and became Skull and Bonesmen as well. George Herbert Walker Jr., co-founder of the New York Mets. Dr. John M. Walker became a CEO, and Lewis Walker, a CIA agent. His daughter, Dorothy, married bonesman Prescott Bush, who would become a U.S. Senator, CBS Board of Directors, vice president of his father-in-law's business Harriman and Company, and father of George Bush. Skull and Bones members often pose on both sides of the political dichotomy. For instance, The Nation magazine and New Republic on the left were financed by Willard Straight, using Payne Whitney, Skull and Bones funds, while The National Review, on the right, was published by William F. Buckley, another Bonesman. In 2004, Republican George W. Bush ran neck and neck against Democrat John Kerry, his Skull and Bones fraternity brother, and 16th cousin. As Dan Thompson wrote, both President Bush and John Kerry have appeared on national television with political pundit Tim Russert of Meet the Press. Both of them refused to answer any questions about their lifelong membership to the Skull and Bones fraternity. Their method of manipulation uses the bipartisan system as a control mechanism. By having members on both the political left and right, they create the boundaries, divide the issues, and control the playing field. You do the math. What are the odds that the top two candidates for the presidency of a 300+ million person nation would be 16th cousins and members of the same organization reputed by many to be the most powerful secret society in America? In MSNBC interviews, when asked pointed questions about the implications of their membership in Skull and Bones, both Bush and Kerry laughed and changed the subject, refusing to answer. As U.S. Naval Intelligence Lieutenant Commander Al Martin said, "You have to look at the entire Bush family in this context, as if the entire family ran a corporation called Frauds Are Us. Each member of the family, George Sr., George Jr., Neil, Jeb, Prescott, Wally, etc., have their own specialty of fraud. George Jr.'s specialty was insurance and security fraud. Jeb's specialty was oil and gas fraud. Neil's specialty was real estate fraud. Prescott's specialty was banking fraud. Wally's specialty was securities fraud. And George Sr.'s specialty? All of the above. Prescott Bush, Jonathan Bush, George Herbert Walker, George Herbert Walker Bush, and George Walker Bush are all members of the Bush family in Skull and Bones. When George W. Bush entered office, he brought 5 Bonesmen into his administration. Major players in Skull and Bones have financed both sides of world wars and the Russian Revolution. They have controlled the left-right political paradigm and helped pave the way for a new world order. In 1992, George H.W. Bush told White House reporter Sarah McClendon, quote, "If the people were to ever find out what we, the Bushes, have done, we would be chased down the streets and lynched."
Would he ever? Excuse me, go. No. Excuse me. Hi. May I see? Oh, they're just rough. Show her. Don't be shy. What's the one of you? Oh, wow, that's beautiful. Thanks. How much would you offer it? I wouldn't sell them. You can have this one. Really? Yeah. Oh my God, thank you so much. You're welcome. Can I buy you a drink or something? Oh, I'm actually late. We're catching a train to Prague, but I don't know, maybe some other time. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'll see ya. All right. Bye. Bye.
No, Dad, it's Prague. We're gonna be fine. It's not the Ukraine. Huh? No.
No, Dad, do not book the Four Seasons.
Book it, bitch, book it. Please.
Because, Dad, no college students are staying at the Four Seasons. You know, it's for old people, so thank you, but please don't.